Hare Krishna, can't hear. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare.
Okay. So this chapter 3, it starts with confusion for Arjuna. Like in the first chapter also, when is that Arjuna was confused whether to fight or not fight. And then Krishna in the second chapter gives him some solutions. And at the end of the chapter, he has described both some two processes, both Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga, Sannyasa. And now again, this time he's confused whether to take which process. He feels that process of Jnana is better because it won't involve any fighting. That's what he thinks. So he is asking a question to Krishna, please tell me clearly which one I should follow. So now Krishna is expressing in the third chapter about this one. So some of the main points in this particular thing are like this one. We must understand that this karma yoga that Krishna is describing here is mainly to do with karma and mind. No, this controlling, sense control and mind control. That's what is describing. And in this particular thing, the process of controlling mind is by renunciation. That's what is it. Mind control is mainly done by renouncing. Now, real renunciation, we must understand, Krishna says about giving up greed, selfishness, envy, enjoying propensity. These are renunciation. Renunciation is not just giving up something. So if we don't understand that, then we'll never feel satisfied. So everything in life can be integrally engaged as a part of our spiritual growth. That's Krishna's message, Everything, whatever happens, it can be engaged in spiritual growth. So renunciation, we have to understand, it's not just an external thing, And the Acharyas gives one nice story about this one, how to understand this one. So the story goes like this: that two monks were just crossing a knee-deep river from one side to the other, and they see a small, beautiful girl walking in front of them, and she was struggling to cross that particular river. And the first monk, he thinks, this, as per the philosophy of the monks and this thing, he should not try help her, he feels, and then he just walks past her and then goes home. The second monk, he goes there, he asks her to climb on his back, crosses the river, and then leaves her on the path, on the shore, and then walks away, and goes back home. When he goes home, the first monk, he asks him, as per our thing, we should not touch a female and all. So why did you do all these things? Now the second monk, he replies, see, I helped her for a few minutes, just crossing from here to there. But you are carrying this particular thing in your mind for such a long time, what I was doing. So the thing is, the sannyasa or any other thing is to serve. Our life is not meant for enjoyment. Renunciation means enjoy. We should not have an enjoyment, but we should have a service mentality. It is not we renounce everything and then go and play in a secluded place. Prabhupada writes that this becomes a disturbance on the society. So we have to help other people. Service is our motive. Now, how to this we'll come to the point, again, this renunciation means there is temptation already to enjoy this particular thing. Temptation is very, very difficult. And the acharyas here, there are 4 hints to throw away this enemy, this temptation to enjoy. And they give the one is we have to give an intellectual conviction. Whenever we see about this karma and jnana, we must understand that they are not totally independent of each other. They are related to each other. We will find that even when a small child is there, the karma is something very, very natural, activity. The moment a child is born, the activity becomes very, very not natural, if a small child is there, if whatever is available, it will try to put it in its mouth. There's an activity. But the intelligence is not developed still. So the parents have to be careful and then take the care of the child. Then slowly, then the parents will give the education to the child that one should not do. So when the child understands, then the next time she will not put that particular thing, the child, he or she. So the karma and jnana are not independent of each other, they are complementary to each other. That's what Krishna has been trying to emphasize in the 2nd chapter. When he also, Arjuna asked this question also, how, whether I should do one of these two. So he thinks they are separate from entity from each other. And Krishna says the person who understands there is no difference between them is the person who really understands properly. So the idea is that we must not try to enjoy, but the serving attitude should be there. And this temptation can become by intellectual conviction. That means we must try to read. Even persons who are doing karma yoga, they also have to read the scriptures, try to understand philosophy. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in his instructions when he gave to Sanatana Goswami, Rupa Goswami and all, he this Bhagavad Gita, he talks about Bhagavad Gita also, the essence of that. He distributed in 3 different phases. First, he gives about the sadhana, siddhanta. He talks about siddhanta. So first one has to understand the siddhanta. And then you have to do sadhana. The sadhana is a practice. So if we don't understand siddhanta, then sadhana can go imperfect. But it is not that you read the siddhanta completely and then do siddhanta. Both go simultaneously, whether it is in the material world or in the spiritual activities, in both the case. Like a person who wants to become a doctor, So initially he does something, somebody gets cut, he puts a plaster. The initial stages, he learns that way. But then simultaneously he studies. So when he studies, he learns more, then he applies more. So both the things go together. The siddhanta and sadhana, the study and practice, and finally he becomes a perfect person. And when he does practice also, he takes the guide of somebody superior to him. He works as somebody's assistant or something. Similarly, in the case of spiritual thing also, we take a guidance from our spiritual master, some guru. So that way, when we hear from him, and then we implement it as a sadhana, we do sadhana. And then we get some doubt. When we do certain things, naturally we get some doubt. Then we again go back to him, learn more, and then again implement it. So together, they lead to Krishna consciousness. Means finally, ultimate goal of the spiritual thing, Prabhupada says, is Krishna consciousness, and both of them together, the Siddhanta and Sadhana, help us reach that particular place. So we have to be careful that we are not diverted from this particular thing. So for that, they're suggesting intellectual conviction, emotional conviction. That is this. The purificatory process. Now, our body itself consists of some 4 different items which need to be purified. Karma Yoga, normally we purify our mind and senses. Mind and senses, because karma means action, and action means our sense organs, and the leader of the sense organs is mind. So together, it purifies the mind and sense organ. That is Karma Yoga. In Jnana Yoga, the intelligence is purified. No, purification of intelligence is there. And we find that mind is intelligence also superior to the mind. It is not always able to convince the mind. We are provided with mind and intelligence. Mind is very difficult to control. Even if the intelligence is strong, sometimes we may not be able to control the intelligence. So the process requires that we read something, try to understand something, and then implement a sadhana. And together they purify our consciousness. The ultimate thing, of course, is to purify the consciousness, or means our spirit soul. And before that, we have to what you call purify the intelligence and the mind. The chariot we see, Krishna is driving the chariot. Arjuna is sitting behind, and he is hearing the Bhagavad Gita from Krishna. How we can understand this is that Arjuna is surrendering his intelligence to Krishna. When you surrender your intelligence to Krishna, then Krishna controls the mind. It's easy for him. It may not be easy for us, but Krishna can control that brain. Because the mind is also a product of Krishna's energy only. So when we purify this mind by this and intelligence by studying scriptures, then we will be slowly able to do the purification of our heart, which is the most important thing. Now, how to understand that which is better, how to perform actually our work, karma. So there is a story goes that Vishnu and Narada are once in a conversation, and Narada Muni asked Vishnu, who is, according to you, the best person who is doing a proper work of Karma Yoga? And Vishnu tells Narada about a small farmer in a village. He says he is doing his work very well. I am very pleased with him. So then Narada Muni immediately goes to that particular farmer. He doesn't talk to him, but he's observing him from a distance. What is this person doing? He finds that the farmer, as soon as he gets up, he says, Om Namo Narayana. And then he starts engaging in his work. Whole day he keeps working. And at the end of the day, while going to sleep, he again says Om Namo Narayana and then sleeps. Though Narada Muni sees how Krishna can say, Vishnu can see such great quality in him, he tells his name only twice. The other times he's engaged in work. So he goes to Vishnu and asks him, how is it that you said I don't find any such great quality in him? So Vishnu gives Narada a pot of oil, fully brimmed with oil. And then he asks him to take this oil pot and then go around a particular circumstance, go around the place and come back. And Narada Muni takes that pot and then walks in, and the oil should not flow from that. At the end of it, when he comes back, Vishnu asks him, how many times you remembered me during the travel? So he says, I could not remember. I was so much concentrating on this, I could not remember. So Krishna says that particular person, farmer, was also like that. Whole day he works for the family, so he is not able to, but he always remembers me. So the point is, in Karma Yoga also, you keep doing, but remember Krishna. Tasmat Sarvesh Kaleshu Mam Anusmara. So these things can be done simultaneously. You can just remember and do the. So the point again, this one is Arjuna thought intelligence in spiritual advancement as a retirement from active life and practice of austerity in a secluded place. That is the misunderstanding here. And Arjuna, of course, was a great devotee of Krishna, but by the Prabhupada writes that by through the medium of Arjuna, Krishna is teaching us a lesson that we must understand that intelligence in spiritual advancement uh, is not taking sannyasa. It's not retiring to a particular center, okay? But doing service, but as per dharmic principles. So this summarizes about what we have in the 3 chapters that we have read. And what I thought, having decided this one, Gaurariya Prabhu has been taking this class for last so many months. I do not know, 4-5 months, more than that. More, yeah. So, and he has completed the first 2 chapters in that. First 2 chapters. So I thought we will discuss what subject matters have been described in these first 2 chapters. So it will be like refreshing for us, what is that? Because when we keep moving up and up and up, we sometimes tend to forget what we have already done. So it's like can be like a revision for us. So this Karma Yoga chapter, first 6 chapters of Karma Yoga, last 6 chapters of Jnana Yoga, and middle 6 chapters of Bhakti Yoga. Yeah. So Acharya says that this Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga, they protect the Bhakti Yoga, which is in the middle. And normally the Karma Yoga is taken first because that is a very natural process for us. Doing activity is something very natural. But reading something, understanding something, it's a different thing, and it requires some efforts to read, understand, take advice from other people. It requires some effort. Whereas this karma is very natural. Like for a child, we discuss how the child does anything. But with jnana, it again changes the karma. So that's why karma yoga is taken first. And in the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita, this Krishna, the Arjuna, is exhibiting certain qualities. Exhibiting some qualities, and these qualities make him perfect to receive the knowledge of the Krishna consciousness from this thing. So what Prabhupada writes in that particular first chapter, and we'll see, and then we'll see what those qualities were. The first chapter, 46 slokas. There are 46 slokas in that. 46th chapter, Sanjaya says, Sanjaya Uvacha, Eva Muktva Arjuna Sankhe, Ratopastopa Vishad, Visijya Shashanam Chapam, Shoka Sambhigna Manasaha. So Sanjaya said, Arjuna, having thus spoken on the battlefield, cast aside his bow and arrows and sat down on the chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief. And in the purport, Prabhupada writes, while observing the situation of his army, Arjuna stood up on the chariot, but he was so afflicted with lamentation that he sat down again, setting aside his bow and arrows. Such a kind and soft-hearted person in the devotional service of the Lord is fit to receive self-knowledge. That is the self-realization which Prabhupada is, which Krishna is going to discuss from the chapter 2. Krishna has not spoken anything in chapter 1, but this particular first chapter is very important for us. In the sense, we must understand what are devotional qualities we must have to receive the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. So he said, such a kind and soft-hearted person. Arjuna is giving indications of his soft-hearted. And if we have that particular quality, then only we will be able to understand Bhagavad Gita. In the last chapter also, Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna says, Ya idam paramam guhyam mad bhakteshu vidasya. Bhakti mai para. So that means this Bhagavad Gita should be given only to people who possess such qualities. If you speak to someone who is not in that particular mood of attracting Krishna, who are attracted to Krishna, then it will be it can, what you call, put you off, and it can be a disadvantage to the person hearing also. I remember, once in my work, during my working days, I had a good friend. He was in the finance department and all. And when we are discussing once, I just told him Krishna. I told him Krishna and the qualities that he was having. And suddenly he burst out, to the thing. And he said that Krishna was married at 16,000. So he had read this Mahabharata, but then he had understood everything in the wrong perspective. So he said that Krishna who married so many persons, he deceived Jayadratha to kill him. So he started speaking up for almost like Shishupal in the. He started criticizing Krishna again. Then I said, I'm very sorry. And then I just said, to stop that particular conversation, sir. And then we moved to some other thing. So we must be careful to whom we are saying. And like Prabhupada mentioned, such a person who are having these qualities only should be preached to, or we should discuss such things with them, and they only will be able to understand these things properly. So now we'll try to understand what are these particular qualities which Krishna observed in Arjuna, or Prabhupada in the process of discussing this observed, which we should try to cultivate. Okay. So far, okay, any comments or anything you want to say? Yes, Prabhu? Okay. So in the chapter 1, 1.21, 22, it's a Senayor Ubayor Madhye Rasam Stapya Me Achyuta Yavadeta Niriksheham Yodukaman Avestan Kairmaya Saryoddhamyam Asmindrana Samvadyame. Yes, sir. So here, actually, I'm giving comments from various people. I have heard this comments from various authorities on this, like Radhesham Prabhu and all. So I have noted down certain points. So I am just repeating that particular. So we say how to become determined and navigate life. Both. So this is very good for how to become determined and navigate life. The purpose is we are not the devotees of Krishna. We are not just doing this for the present. We want to have navigate life means both afterlife, and we want a good present life also. No? We require both the things. Present life should be powerful, and the future life, life after death. So, because death is only of the body, not about the soul. Soul is 11. But our determination should be to have a good life now, and prepare for the life after death also. Then the other thing. Then he says, Drishtrimam Swajanam Krishna, 1.28. Drishtrimam Swajanam Krishna, Yuyutsum Samupastitam, Sidanti Mama Gatrani, Mukam Cha Paritrishyati. So here the Acharya's comment like this one, when he sees that particular thing, he starts because Arjuna, when he tells Krishna, please stop in front of the thing, Krishna purposely places the chariot in front of these two great leaders, Bhishma, Drona, Pramukata, because he wants to influence the mind of Arjuna. And so he places that, and when he sees, he gets frightened, because the Acharya's comment like this, purpose says in fact that it is like a person, after the war, in the India-Pakistan war. Some people were in India, and some family members, they went to Pakistan also. So he says, the son remains in India and the father goes to Pakistan side. And in the fight, the siren points the father in front of the fighting for Pakistan, and he said fighting for India. Now what will we do? The thing, it becomes very disturbing for him. He has to fight and kill his father, or just run away from that particular thing. The government expects that he should fight. Yes, he has joined the army to fight for India. If he doesn't fight, he can be court-martialed. And if he kills his father, it's disturbing. He doesn't want. He wants to run away. So this is the situation Arjuna is finding that particular battlefield. Bhishma, Drona. He remembers all those incidents when Bhishma, Drona used to carry him from the youthful stage and teaching him all the things. And now he has to fight them and maybe kill them or get killed. So what he should do in that particular thing? This is father-son. So he's expressing whether I should fight or not. So it shows a soft-heartedness. It is not soft-heartedness, but he's asking a question. So this is another, at the end of the thing he's asking. So the Acharya suggests that we must always ask questions. When doubts arise in our mind, we must ask questions. So every doubt that comes in our life as we move on, this has got a purpose behind that, when you do that particular thing. And this particular purpose, the purpose of this is to get it clarified. It's not just to forget that particular thing. We have to get the things clarified, and then only we can take the corrective action. So the next sloka that's of importance is 1.36. So here is a papamevad ashrayam asmat hatvaitayana tayinah tasmanaham vayamantam dashtasa pandavan. So here, papam. See, normally any good individual, a person with a good character, he is afraid of pap, of sinful activity. None of us with a kind heart would do any activity that will incur sinful reactions. So here also he is telling, Papamevad ashrayam asmat. This sinful activity, they will take shelter of us. He is afraid of that particular thing. Because the papa means you have to face the reactions will be negative when you do papa. So this is also a necessary thing. Like, when we bring up our children and all, we tell them if they do some sinful activity, we try to make them understand in a different way. We'll say the Lord will punish you. Okay. Hare Krishna, clear? Hare Krishna. So in 1.36, he says, Papa mevad ashrayam asmat. That means he is afraid of doing any sinful activity. And he thinks killing the people, killing the Kurus is a sinful activity. So he wants to avoid. And they were not ordinary Kurus also, they were relatives and his elders also. And he says, Swajanam hi katam matva sukhina shamamada. How can we be happy? So happiness, everyone wants happiness. Now, all of us have joined also this Krishna consciousness to be happy. When we hear, they lived happily forever, we feel happy. So happiness is a required thing. And Krishna consciousness, or this Bhagavad Gita, what the Krishna is teaching, helps us to remain happy afterwards. Even in when the dukkha comes here, it is only for a short period of time, and it is not actually a dukkha. It is our perception of things that makes us dukkha or sukha. Now, no activities is sukha, because in spiritual things, spiritual is always eternal. So there cannot be any, it is, and pure also, Sat, Chit and Ananda. And it feels the pain only because it is covered by Asat, Achit and Nirananda body. Body is impure. Asat, Achit and Nirananda. And Arjuna, in the first chapter when he speaks as though he is ignorant of this spirit soul. The whole points that we are discussing now are related to the body concept of life. And Arjuna, by the will of Krishna, is exhibiting ignorance of this soul, and is speaking only from the point of view of body. So he says, Sukhina, Samada, how can I be happy? Then, in the 1.41, he says, Shankaro narakayaiva kulagnanam kulasyacha patanti pitaro hi yesham lupta pindo dadakriyaha. So this lupta pindo dadakriya is like what we do for tarpan, for our departed souls, departed parents, departed elders and all. We do dadakriya. It is our culture. It's a culture, and it is based on Vedic culture. It's not our culture, it's a Vedic culture. And Vedic culture, it says, and Vedas are given by Krishna only. So when so he is saying, if these people die and the children, they are without father, or the parents are no male members are there, then who will do this particular tapna? It's a very rightful question he's asking. And then there is another thing also he's saying, Utsanna kuladharmanam manushyanam janardana narake niyatam vaso bhavati iti anushrama. So here Arjuna is not saying, I know that or something. He said, anushrama. I have heard that the persons who do like this, Utsanna kuladharmanam manushyana jana narake niyatam vaso. Those people are sent to hellish planet for taking punishment. So this is a fear of hellish planet. So this, like fear of sinful activity, this fear is also should be there, so that we don't enter into the sinful path. If we want that our children or our near ones should not do any sinful activities, then this particular thing should be borne in mind. And then in Nacha Shaknomi Avastatun Brahmativa Chame Manha Nimittani cha Pashyami Viparitani Keshava, he said. So here he said we have to learn from problems. We have to learn from problems. Everybody faces problems. And we have to learn from problems. We should not be just set aside. Everything we encounter is meant to rewire our consciousness. Everything that we encounter, is meant, Krishna has designed. The whole atmosphere says that we have to rewire our consciousness, means to improve our consciousness. That is the meaning, and renovate our inner world. There is supposed to be change in our inner world. That is if we come across some bad incident in our life, it's a sign that we must change our inner perception of that, and purify our consciousness. There is a purpose. Everything happens with a purpose. The whole thing, Prakriti, Kriyamana, everything happens by Krishna's will. Nothing happens without his will. It is said that even a grass cannot move without the will of the Lord. So everything that happens to us also, it is happening by the will of the Lord. It doesn't come accidentally. And so there is and Krishna, when he makes it happen, There is a purpose behind it. It is not just accidentally happened. And when it happens, we have to correct. We have to learn from the problem. One, what we should understand, this problem has occurred to us because we have to make some changes in our consciousness and change our thinking of that material. So, and then in 1.20 is Ata Vyavastita Drishtva Dhartarashant Kapiddoja Pravritte Sasta Sampate Darul Jimya Pandava Hishi Kesam Idam Vakyam Idamaha Adpate. So, who we are and what our purpose is, should know. We are born into this world for a particular purpose. And we are going to leave also and take another. That also is a purpose behind that. So it is the road least traveled. The spiritual thing, path is very least traveled. Prabhupada's relation, very few percentage of people take the spiritual. Some percentage also he quotes. So it is at least traveled particular path, and which leads to fulfillment of our innermost desires. So this spiritual path goes only people who reflect upon our problems and try to find solutions. They only take to spiritual path. If we have some problem and if we just ignore it and try to set it aside, it's very unlikely that we take to a spiritual path. But when we have some problems and we understand there is something, something has happened, it is not accidental. It's happened by the Krishna's will, by the divine will of the thing. So what is there in it for me? Why did it happen? If you start thinking on that particular thing, then you get a solution. And we must ask questions. That is another thing Bhagavad Gita always suggests. And Arjuna also asked question to Krishna. He was fortunate Krishna was with them. We are not fortunate that, but we have our the Krishna's representatives, Vaishnavas are there. So we should ask question when we encounter trouble, not just set it aside. And when we think about that, and then they suggest, you take to this particular path, then our life starts moving in the right direction. That's why you will find that in the first chapter, that Krishna, Arjuna, by the will of Lord, is not realizing about the spiritual aspects of life at all. He's concentrating only on the material aspect, but all these material qualities are qualities in the mode of goodness. Qualities in the mode of goodness. Arjuna doesn't speak anything in the first chapter which gives qualities of ignorance or passion. Everything is a mode of goodness. And that's what will take us to understand the spiritual thing. Unless a person comes to the mode of goodness, he will not be able to understand the spiritual aspects of life. So Krishna's words instill an inspiration to break free from the invisible chains that have impelled our spiritual growth for lifetimes. So Krishna what's going to give, what he's making Arjuna go through. Arjuna go through means we are all representatives of Arjuna only, Arjuna is a great devotee of Krishna. He is always with him. So he knows. But Prabhupada said, by putting Arjuna into that form, he is teaching all of us a lesson how these particular problems we should how we should approach these problems, ask questions, come into the mode of goodness, and then follow the spiritual path. And one more thing. And the last chapter, like last sloka, like we said, Emam tva Arjuna Sankhe Tatopasto Upavisha Vishicha Sasharam Chapam Shoka Samvigna Manasa. Now, nobody has died, nothing has happened, but Arjuna is imagining all these things. After seeing the army in front of him, all these particular slokas that we discussed, Arjuna is meditating in mind. What will happen to him? What will happen to him? What will happen to me? And then, so these qualities are in Sattva Guna, and that is what will help us to go into the spiritual path. So we'll again see 1.46, what Prabhupada says about the qualities qualities of Krishna. That will give us more confidence that we should now try to understand this, what Krishna is teaching from chapter 2 very seriously. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, it's very important for all of us. We can hear it again and again, so that whenever we get problems in our life, we will not just set it aside, but face it boldly, ask questions. We must ask questions. Many times we feel shy how to ask questions. What will happen? But we must ask, either in person, individually, somebody who knows more than us. So Prabhupada writes, while observing the situation of his army, Arjuna stood up on the chariot, but he was so afflicted with lamentation that he sat down again, setting aside his bow and arrows. Now, this is another thing, setting aside his bow and arrows. Arjuna had taken a vow earlier, that anybody who asks me to set aside my bow and arrow, I will kill him. And there is an incident also when Yudhishthira chastises Arjuna for protested because you have run away from the battlefield. And Arjuna had actually gone there only to help Yudhishthira. So when he hears this from Yudhishthira, he is about to kill his own brother. And then Krishna helps him. No, you can kill him and at the same time not kill him. And that is by saying harsh words, to his superiors. So he has child, and he himself is not putting down this arrow bow and arrow. So how much pain, mental pain he must be going through, you can understand from there. Such a kind and soft-hearted person. No, if he has made a vow and he himself is looking, that means he's totally broken in. So such a kind and soft-hearted person in the devotional service of the Lord is fit to receive self-realization. So we must develop this quality. So chapter 1 is many times we say Krishna doesn't speak anything, it's only Arjuna is saying all these things. But the qualities that Arjuna exhibits in the first chapter is very, very important for all of us to exhibit, so that further chapters, further teachings of Krishna will enter our mind and we'll be able to purify our consciousness much more. Any comments, Prabhu, please? Anyone want to say something in connection with this? I might have missed some particular points or something like that. If anybody wants to comment, you can please comment. Otherwise, go.
Prabhu, in between the purport or in between the discussion somewhere, you just made a very strong point that what devotees tend to do, that whenever some problems strike, we immediately assume that what's in it for me, like what has what's the plan for Krishna, and we sort of try to understand things from that perspective and we move on. Several times what tends to happen, Prabhu, that within the step 1 and step 2, sometimes mind does wander here and there, that how come this happened to me, and I've seen this happening to devotees also, including me also, sometimes whenever something rough, some rough patches hit in the life in any form, Prabhu, some incidents or something which doesn't go as per expectation, 1 year 2 year down the line you realize that, okay, wow, this was the plan. But then in those moments, immediately after that, maybe a week or a day or a 2 or maybe a month at times, it's really, the mind is very, very, it goes in all the direction that what did I do wrong, and that's the, how to sort of, eventually we do come back to that stage, that of course Krishna is behind, and but there is a moment, in between that we sort of flutter here and there. So what's your point on those moments, Prabhu? How to sort of stay tuned to Krishna, or let's say, so that we don't get so much agitated at that point?
I don't know. Again, I'll tell this answer is not. I'm not giving this answer. I heard it again from somebody, and so I'm transmitting that particular answer. Just see any problem that comes to us, like, you chastise me for any reason or whatever it is. So we must understand that you are not, I should consider that you are not chastising me. Krishna is sending a message through you. That's why how I should understand that particular thing. And he's chastising me through you for a particular reason. Anything that I do, here I'm deviating. If we are a really devotee, if we really want to understand Krishna's message, we must understand that this is a Krishna's arrangement for us to change our path. I might have hurt you somewhere, which I should not be doing. Krishna says, so we must be good to everybody. The 12th chapter, qualities of a devotee. So we are missing out on some of those particular qualities, and that's why I'm getting chastised. It's not that I've done something greatly wrong or something like that, but Krishna wants us that we must go into the spiritual path. We are deviating from the path, and so this type of chastisement or such type of problems come to us. If we understand that, then we will not blame the other person. It's always said, any problem that comes to us is because of our own past. The other person is not responsible for us. So when you understand that, then we must try to move more into the spiritual path. That is the idea. That's why one of the things I read also the previous thing when you were not there. Any problem that comes to us is there is a reason behind that particular thing. It doesn't happen accidentally. Any problem that we face, it doesn't come accidentally. There's a purpose, and we don't fail to address the purpose. We only try to find why this person told me. So when we change that particular attitude, then we will understand that the problem is not with him. The problem is with my own behavior, and Krishna wants me to change my attitude in life. So if we understand it that way, then we won't blame anybody. We must try to think over, reflect on that particular thing, and change more to spiritual aspect of this. Problems are always material. There can never be any spiritual problem. So you said material problems and spiritual solution. The solution should come only in the spiritual way. And the material problems, any problems will be there. Material problems will be always there. Sometimes happiness, sometimes. That's why I understand.
I was just thinking, it is like in case of a cyclone, tufan, the small plants get blown away, but the trees with deeper and stronger roots actually don't fall down. So if our spiritual roots are stronger, so we will always understand that the person who is creating the problem is an instrument. He's like a postman. His postman is not the person who is giving 5 rupees to me and 100 rupee money order to my neighbor. Because somebody has posted, somebody has given that order, he is just passing it on. So for that, to understand, it's easy to say like this now, but as you said, I've often been the small plant which has been blown away, but probably that is a way to understand. And secondly, I think probably having come here for transformation, that's a purpose. I think every step in everybody's life, whatever happens, it is one step closer to our evolution. It's part of, each person's journey may be different, but the destination is must be the same. And as I heard in one lecture at Chopati, I think, temple, in case, Krishna wants us to go in a particular direction, it's like he's like the GPS, but we are adamant that we want to take our own course, but he recenters and from there he gives us the direction. So, direction.
So Hare Krishna. So far we discussed from chapter 1 in the revision. We are doing chapter 1 revision. we started with chapter 3. 3 slokas we completed before you came, Prabhu. So we discussed that, and then we said we'll do revision, and we are done from chapter 1, understanding Arjuna's qualities, which helps him understand the, and last sloka we said, no, where Prabhupada writes, such a kind-hearted person is fit to receive self-knowledge. Like, so now we'll discuss something from chapter 2. The time is up, please tell me, Prabhu, and then it is there, no? Okay. So in chapter 2.7, it is an Karpanya dosho bhavata svabhavaha prachami tam dhamma sammuda cheta yachsheyashat nishchitam bruhi tanme sishyaste hamshadi mam tvam prapannam. Here he is asking. So the Acharya suggests that first ask first, act later. Don't act immediately. First ask question. So here Arjuna is asking, Sishyasteham. I'm asking that question. And then act later. You are not the body but an eternal soul. That's Krishna's message to us. We are spiritual beings on a human journey. We are also spiritual souls on a human journey. Not human person on a spiritual journey. We normally think, we are now human beings. We are on a spiritual journey. No, Acharyas don't say that. We are spiritual souls on a material body journey. And we keep changing this material bodies to this thing. And our solution will come when we get a spiritual body. By following the... So, and why we are a spiritual thing on a material body? Because of the particular mistake we made. Ichcha dvesha samuttena dvandvamoyena bharata. Prabhupada gives a story also. Many of you might have heard. When Prabhupada was there, this Birla was one of the very wealthy person. No? So Prabhupada says one of the Birla's sons, for example, he left the home. He said, my father is always giving. If I want money, I have to ask my father. He is enjoying. He is also enjoying, but he has to ask his father. But he wanted independent. Why should I ask him? So he left his father's house and then goes out, and then he suffers. But at home, the mother used to give him anything he wants. Everything was available. He thought he will learn, but he was not able to do it. And then one of the Birla's friends who recognized this boy also, Prabhupada says, he observes him begging for something because he doesn't have, and is suffering from disease. Then he takes pity on him, takes him and gives him back to this Birla. Birla is happy, his son is back with him. Son is happy, he's back, he doesn't have to struggle anymore. So spiritual journey is like that. We are run away from Krishna's kingdom because of this particular Ichcha Dvesha Samuttena. Krishna is enjoying, so we want to be like Krishna. That's a mistake we make. I also want to enjoy like Krishna. So Krishna says that is not possible because that mentality will affect so many other people. If I have that mentality and you are all sitting here, you also will be disturbed by that particular. Krishna doesn't want such people there. So he centered on a material journey here. And the material journey, so many Krishna's small, great devotees like Prabhupada are there. They see that we are suffering. And then they want us to go back to Krishna. They want us to hand us over to Krishna. So they give us this particular teaching. So our spiritual journey, spiritual soul on a material design. And we have to give up this material and start back on our spiritual journey. That's why Prabhupada started this back home, back to Godhead also. Back home, that is our home. Back to God. We are always happy when we are at home. We go to so many other places. But after some time, we always want to go back home. There we are happy with the children. So here, Acharya says, never stop questioning. Keep asking. Maybe it's silly or something like that. We may think, but it's got to be there. Curiosity has reason for existence. You're curious. Why? So when you're curious, ask question. Acharya says, curiosity has a reason for existence. That's why we are curious. And when we ask this particular thing, then we get a question. So here also there is a story, You might have heard also. So the group of about 10 persons, they were walking, after going out, they were walking back to the this thing, tower house, And the house was in the very 40th floor or 50th floor, whatever it is. So they were, all of them had enjoyed the road outside. They came here, and then they started walking back to they had to go to the 40th, that particular floor, very high floor. Lift was out of order, so they had to walk. So now they were talking, everything was there, but they never asked question. They were tired already, so they started walking. And when they reached the 40th floor, they were talking something irrelevant and all, just to keep them, what you call, occupied. But they never asked the main question. So when they reached the particular floor, they asked the person who was in charge, so what is your opinion? He said, I left my key in the reception. So that walk back all the 40 floors, take the key and go back. Relevant questions must be asked. So we keep talking irrelevant things, and when the time comes, we forget about the real purpose. So this questioning is very, very important, and with the question must be out of curiosity for our well-being, for our spiritual path. And then there is another thing also, 2.8. Nahi prapashyami mamanupadyat ichokam uchoshanam indriyanam avapta bhomo asapagna ruddham rajyam suranamapi chadipratya. How to make decisions is very important. So this game changer will come. When we ask question and do this, game changes, something changes. And the game changer really occurs when element of inspiration is added. You have to get inspired by somebody when the life has to change. Normal course, it doesn't change, but when you are inspired by somebody, he did that. For us, the spiritual path, Radhanath Swami Maharaj, when we read that journey home or something like that, how he traveled from America all the way to India with so many difficulties and this thing, sometimes without food, sometimes when he was eating peanuts, that also was taken over by monkeys, and how he reacted to that particular thing. These things give some inspiration. So when the element of inspiration is added to this, our making decisions, then change happens. And for us, the inspiration can come from Krishna. Krishna should be he's a great inspirator. All of each sloka of Bhagavad Gita, for purpose it can be, you can speak for hours and hours and hours together, each and every sloka. So it can be an inspiration. We must be curious. If we are curious why Krishna said this, why, and then we'll be able to find more and more reasons. That's why the same sloka you hear from so many devotees speaking, each person's thing will be very, very different. And we hear also, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, on one particular sloka, he spoke almost for 1 month. And then because he wanted to continue further, he stopped with that and went to the next sloka. So this inspiration we have to take. And our main inspiration should be from Krishna, an endless fountain of knowledge and wisdom. Teaching is compared to an endless ocean, endless fountain of knowledge and wisdom. That is digestible and practical. Krishna's teachings, it's not, he doesn't ask us to climb Himalayan mountain or do something very extraordinary. Very, very simple things. But solutions are simple, but what you achieve is something unimaginable. See, Kamesha, Krodha, some very simple thing. How to avoid Kam? Sharpen your intelligence. Try to avoid this particular thing. Very simple things he gives, It's not something that impractical or something like that. Decision to take inspiration from a higher source is very, very important. And for us, Krishna is the incident, Bhagavad Gita is the great inspirational message. And then 2.10, says, Tamvacha Rishikesham Prahasanniva Bharata. Tamvacha Rishikesham Prahasanniva Bharata. Now, this 2.10, Prahasanniva means smiling. Now, why Krishna is smiling when Arjuna is in trouble? No, he's saying, I do not know, please help me. And Krishna is now smiling. Why? Because this person who was talking all these things, he's now saying, please take me as your disciple. Samvacha Rishikesham Prahasanniva Bharata. What is it? I forgot it. Then he speaks. Before speaking, he is smiling. He is smiling because Arjuna has come to the right thing, So far he was speaking and Krishna did not open his mouth. And now Arjuna stopped speaking and he said, no, you please speak. Please tell me. Krishna is happy. Now this you should have done earlier, but at least now you are doing. So Krishna is happy. Prasanniva. But immediately when Krishna opens his mouth, he does not praise the Arjuna. Oh, you have done the right thing. He chastises him. What he says? Ashochananva shochasvam pratyan vadamsha bhashase gatasuna agatasusha na anusochanti panditaha. So you're talking like Pandita, but you're not Pandita. You're talking a foolish thing. So Acharya's comment that the Guru also will be like that, When we approach a Guru and he chastises us, we must understand it is for our good. So when Krishna chastises Arjuna doesn't run away from there. He still sits there. Sometimes we feel insulted. I ask you some question and then you're my senior and you insult me. I feel, why did I come to that particular person? I should have thought of my own or did something else. But it is for the good. And Krishna chastises him. And now he is introducing him into a spiritual path. You are not the body. Knowledge means to know matter, spirit, and controller of both. And this is more important than religious formularies. So what Arjuna is speaking in the first chapter is about religious formularies. Lupta Pindodada Kriyaha, what they will do, wives means ladies will become widows, all these things. So these are religious formularies. They are important to lift you to the stage of Sattva Guna. But life is not, doesn't end with Sattva Guna. We should go to Vishuddha Sattvam. Vishuddha Sattvam means no trace of passion or ignorance. So that is Vishuddha Sattvam. And that is more important. Means more important than that is Vishuddha Sattvam. That means knowledge to know matter, spirit, and God, Krishna. The knower of both is him. And this is more important than. So now Krishna is going to teach him something which is more important than the qualities Arjuna exhibited in the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. The qualities Arjuna exhibited are very good, Sattva Guna. Many of us may not be having even that quality. But Krishna is now trying to take him to a higher plane. And the higher plane is what? Knowledge of matter, spirit, and controller of both. Of course, this Krishna will say in the later chapters, in the 12th chapter, Kshetrakyam chapimam vidya sarva kshetresu bharata kshetra jnanam yata jnanam matamabam. Yata jnanam matam means he said, Krishna, this is my opinion. My opinion means knowledge of who you are, who is God, and what is this matter? Who you are. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also says the same thing, when he was giving to Sanatan Goswami, he speaks to him for 30 days, the Prayagraj. So that time he tells him that Jivera Swarupo hai, Krishnera Nisada. He starts this instruction with this particular statement. This is the beginning of the spiritual journey, to understand that. And Krishna also is starting with that particular, you are a spirit soul, and Krishna is the supreme spirit. So understanding that is more important. And this is more important than religious formalities. They are important, but this is more important. For getting more important, we should not discard the less important, but we must add to that particular. And then Krishna says also, it is difficult to understand soul, so you must make more efforts. Ashcharyavat pashyati kachchidenam, ashcharyavat tataiva chanyam, ashcharyavat chanyam anya shrunoti, shuttyapenam vedana chaiva kasya. Some people hear about it, some people speak about it, everything, but nobody understands. So, very minute, to understand, small soul, which is 1/100th the size of the tip of the hair, is controlling our body. And if it is not there, you are a dead person. To understand that concept is very difficult. Such a tiny thing is controlling our body. So people find it difficult, how it's possible. But we accept it. The devotees accept it. Spiritualists accept it at least. We may find it difficult, but we accept that particular thing. Because Krishna is Anoranyam and Mahatamayam. He is smaller than the smallest and higher than the highest. He is both. So when we understand Krishna's qualities, then we will be able to understand this. And then going into further thing, that 2.70 will end with this one, I think. Apuryamanam achala pratishtam samudramaha pravishanti yadvat tadat kamanyam pravishanti sarve sa shanti mapnavati na kama karmi. So this is the mantra for peace of mind, for getting peace of mind. To be happy, you have to have first peace of mind. Ashantasya kuta sukham. No. If you are not shant, if you are not at peace at yourself, you can never be happy. Ashantasya kuta sukham. So you want shanta, first of all, peace of mind. You should not be disturbed. And how it is possible? Krishna is giving us through an example. Apuryamanam achala pratishtam samudramaha parvishanti. Like, all the rivers go and join the ocean. But the ocean never gets disturbed. So many rivers going, and Ganga, Yamuna, everything, all joining there in the river, Bay of Bengal. But that doesn't get disturbed. So Krishna is suggesting, so many desires will come to you. Stop, Apuryamanam achala pratishtam samudra mahapravishan tadvat kamanyam pravishanti sarve sa shanti mapnodi na kama kami. You should not get disturbed. It comes, let it come. Don't get attracted. Don't give importance to that particular thing. Na kama. So when you avoid that, because the whole first 6 chapters, Karma Yoga, describes this, Kama is the greatest in me. Mind is the mind which follows the dictations of this Kama is your greatest enemy. Kama enemy. So mind purified of this Kama, or the renunciation which we described in the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, when that comes, then your mind becomes steady. And a steady mind is what you call, it can accept the teachings of this Bhagavad Gita very easily. You are not getting disturbed. Disturbed mind will always push you into hellish condition of life. And Krishna is giving a mantra for peace of mind. He will give peace of mind. Solutions are there somewhere. Yes. Bhoktaramike tapasam sarvalokamayeshwaram surdam sarvam bhutanam nyatvam mam shite. This is another mantra, peace formula. So Krishna gives peace formulas many times, but this is the first peace formula he has given in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Hare Krishna, thanks for listening.
Thanks for the wonderful session, Prabhu. Very good. We'll do small kirtan.
Everybody, so you give turn. I'll Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Low battery. Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Gurudev, Jai Gurudev, Jai Srila Gurudev, Jai Gurudev, Jai Gurudev, Jai Gurudev, Jai Srila Gurudev. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, low battery, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. जय गुरुदेव.